great and powerful kingdom once ruled the lands and seas of what is now called Southeast Asia. Its dominion extended beyond the Indonesian archipelago to the Malay Peninsula, to the shores of the Philippines. The rule of this dynasty spanned centuries, from 1293 to 1527. It was a highly sophisticated culture said to be born here, in East Java. Today, it isn't hard to imagine the mighty Majapahit Empire ruling from this slice of Asia. East Java is the story of a land once the center of commerce and power, and today, of cities eagerly racing towards global development. Make like Majapahit royalty and begin your conquest of East Java. Your adventure begins upon touchdown at Surabaya Wanda International Airport in Surabaya, the booming capital of East Java. From the airport, one can either board a bus or hop into a taxi to the heart of the city. Surabaya is the second largest Indonesian city. It is also the most industrialized one. Like most developing Asian cities, it sits at the cusp of impending ultra-modernization. Motorcycles look like little ants scuttling around the main thoroughfares, weaving in and out. Buses heave their heavy bodies forward, crawling along a highway jammed with cars, but passengers don't seem to mind. Despite the hectic vibe streets emit, the typical Javanese countenance is placid and playful. And this perhaps is what draws more visitors to Surabaya. While more popular neighbors Yogyakarta and the island of Bali are the usual tourist havens, there is a laid-back charm to this side of Java that makes you park your bags and stay a little longer. Where to bunk before commencing the East Java expedition? Not a problem in this city. Surabaya offers a wide range of accommodations, from plush hotels that recreate the Majapahit royalty experience to hotels for the traveler on business. A nice clean bed and the Wi-Fi must-have. For a quick sojourn in the city, indulge by booking a stay at the Hotel Majapahit. Of course, who wouldn't want a feel of uber luxury, East Javanese style? Hotel Majapahit was built in 1910 by the Sarkis brothers, the same men who built the Raffles in Singapore, Eastern and Oriental in Penang, the Strand in Yangon, and other hotels in the region. Designed in the Art Nouveau and Art Deco styles, the hotel housed famous guests such as Charlie Chaplin and King Leopold.
Hotel Majapahit built in 1910, first in the lobby area, which is the original wing with the Art Nouveau architecture style. While the other wing for the new lobby at the time was built 21 years later in 1936. So the architecture of the lobby as well is different because at the time the famous architecture style is Art Deco. And all the Art Deco and the colonial style architecture also complement the hotel with the dark wood furnitures. So we still keep antique furniture as well in the room. We still preserve the original building, the same like in 1910 and 1936.
Legend has it that Surabaya got its name from two mighty beasts fighting for supremacy in the island. The Battle of the Suro, or shark, and a fierce baya, or crocodile, is immortalized in stone, smack in the middle of a busy intersection.
First of all, Surabaya is, as a city, a big city, so the tourism to be developed based on the MICE, Meeting Incentive Conference and Exhibition. So that's so many shopping centers in Surabaya, as well as golf courses. There are 5 golf courses in the city, as well as the culinary.
Dining in Surabaya is a quick culinary and history lesson. Sample authentic Javanese cuisine at these gastronomic stops. Dishes of rice, chicken, and fish are prepared in the traditional Indonesian way, peppered with Arabian, Indian, Chinese, and Malay influence. Such a fusion of flavors is a reflection of the many cultures that live harmoniously in the city. Experience this diversity firsthand as you hit the streets. Here one finds centuries-old Buddhist temples, Muslim mosques, Christian and Catholic churches, and Synagogue Qayyum, the only synagogue in Indonesia. After the decline of the Majapahit dynasty, Java ceded to the Mataram Empire and the Islamic religion. Tour north and head to the city's Arab quarters, to colorful street markets teeming with people, produce, and all sorts of goods. Past rows of shops selling the tudung, or traditional veil, past the crispy and oily smell of Javanese cakes, and you'll find one of the oldest mosques, Sunan Ampel. This impressive structure was built by Sunan Ampel, one of the 9 saints responsible for the spread of Islam in Java. In 1841, he was buried behind the mosque, and his tomb, or Inbabolong, is visited by thousands of pilgrims yearly. Drive a little farther to the Chenghu Mosque. This mosque is dedicated to an explorer whose exploits are said to rival or even surpass globe-navigating greats like Christopher Columbus and Ferdinand Magellan. He was the first person to introduce Islam to Indonesia. Admiral Chenghu is legendary not just for spreading Islam around the world, but for sailing with an impressive armada of ships. The war commander's expedition aboard the biggest ship in the 15th century opened the silk and ceramic line and inspired Spanish and Portuguese adventurers. But even before the admiral set foot in Java, an earlier party from mainland China established their presence in Surabaya. The Hoktianhan Temple is the oldest in Surabaya. Built by Kublai Khan's soldiers in Java, it is a Tridharma temple, which means it houses 3 religions: Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism. We are treated to a traditional Chinese puppet show, and the discovery of the traditional music and art of East Java unfolds here. Lured by the sound of gong and cymbal, the bright colors of Javanese garb, you find yourself at the Balai Pemuda. Formerly a stronghold of Dutch colonial strength, Balai Pemuda is now a venue for the arts and appreciation of Javanese culture. The dance is called reog. Dancers nimbly step to the rhythm of the drum, portraying the ancient soldiers of the Kediri kingdom. Surabaya dances as well, to the beat of commerce and industry. Long known as a port city, many a ship has docked at Surabaya's shores. Head to the Kalimas port to get a feel of the traditional seafaring lifestyle. Wooden sailing ships haul cargo as they've done for centuries. These are the pinsi, handcrafted by the Bugis of Sulawesi, the most skillful sailors and shipbuilders in Indonesia. Ages ago, these ships brought with them not just cargo, but new ideas and influences from faraway lands. One can just imagine the young immigrant Liem Sing T, who arrived in Surabaya at the age of 5. The orphan Seng T soon grew to be one of Surabaya's industrialists. He bought an old Dutch building that used to be an orphanage and put up the House of Samporna. While the main factories are now located in other sites in East Java, a small assembly line still exists for visitors to see how cigarettes are hand-rolled. What started as a small production facility for Samporna cigarettes is now a museum, cafe, and art gallery.
Sampurna business actually found by Lim Sang Te in 1913 in Surabaya. He really started the business from zero because he was an orphan when he was in Surabaya. He came when he was 5 years old with his father, and then 6 months later his father passed away. So he had to live with a family not so far from Surabaya, where he learned about tradings. When he was 17, 18 years old, he built a humble stall in Surabaya area where his wife sold merchandise, and then him, Palim Sengte, start rolling the cigarette behind the stall, and then he sell the cigarette using bicycle around the Surabaya. So this is how he started the business.
Other points of interest in Surabaya are the lingering remains of Dutch colonialism, such as the Governor's House or Grahadi building on Gubernur Suryo Street. Or visit the submarine monument, an actual vessel involved in the Arafura Sea battle to free West Irian from the Dutch occupation. The KRI Pasupati 410 now lies peacefully for visitors to discover. One may also opt to create playful memories in the city. Those looking to tee off will delight in a day spent at Citraraya, also called the Singapore of Surabaya, the place for ultimate recreation and entertainment. Parents with toddlers in tow enjoy water splashing fun at the Ciputra Water Park, one of the biggest in Indonesia. Kids not satisfied yet? Then treat them to the Surabaya Zoo, one of the biggest zoos in Southeast Asia. Here, the fearsome Komodo dragon dwells. The Surabaya Zoo is the first zoo to successfully breed the Komodo dragon. Or you can indulge in a gastronomic feast, Surabaya style, at the Restaurant Row. One may also spend the day shopping in any of the weekend markets, or go hunting for gold at Gold Street, the largest gold market in Southeast Asia. While the city is commonly known as one of the jump-off points for visitors headed to the sun and surf in Bali or Yogyakarta, there are places that lie past the fringes of Surabaya that call out and beg to be explored. Like jewels hidden in the rough, these special places require a little more than the usual bus ride to be found and savored. There are lots of places to stay in Malang, and those wanting for top-notch lodging will not be disappointed. Of course, everything must be peppered with the authentic East Javanese experience, so best to book a room at the Hotel Tugu Malang. Established in 1990, Hotel Tugu Malang gives the first-time visitor a quick lesson in East Java history. Chinese and Indonesian antiques adorn every corner of the hotel, and the building's architecture is clearly patterned after the elegant Dutch colonial-era mansions in Malang.
We built this hotel in 1990, and we start operating the hotel in 1991. Actually, my father has been collecting antiques and art subjects for many years, since he was in his early 20s. We just had so many objects, antique objects in the house, in the storage house, and we just didn't know what to do with it because we just had so many. So we decided to maybe to open a hotel, a different type of hotel, and to display all the antiques inside the hotel and to relive the history and the art of Indonesia. We want to present it to the world.
Equally opulent is the Graha Chakra Hotel, which also has that East Javanese meets Dutch colonial vibe. Mix in modern amenities and you've got the classic ingredients that make up first-rate travel. Sleeping in luxury gets one in the mood for something a little earthier, yet no less sublime. And so, a trip to nearby Mount Pinanjacan is in order. Go east and pass city streets that narrow into small town roads, which further on meet winding mountain paths. The morning sun peeks through the trees, and you'd know that you're just in time for a sunrise spectacle at the peak of Mount Pinanjacan. And so ascend higher and higher still until the sprawl of industrial East Java is but a smattering of steel and tin roofs below, all but a speck, and the loud boom of technology rendered insignificant. Here, where the cover of trees is thicker and the air feels cleaner, encounter the solitary motorbike rider, presumably headed the same way, to the solace of the boondocks, heeding its quiet call. A simple, rather nondescript sign will tell you that you are about to enter the Bromo Tengger Semeru National Park. Go in and get totally blown away by the volcanic land formation that is the Tengger Caldera. Within it lies East Java's most famous volcano, Mount Bromo. Mount Bromo is just one of the 5 peaks inside the massive Tengger Caldera. Though it isn't the highest, it is the most recognizable. The wide, yawning crater rimmed with white plumes of sulfurous smoke is a dead giveaway. Bromo constantly belches these smoke signals, enveloping the entire caldera with a fine shroud of white. Beside Bromo is stately Mount Batok, with a slope that rises up to an almost perfect cone. The 3 other volcanoes in the caldera are Mount Kursi, Mount Watangan, and Widodaren. Farther off, towering high and puffing on its own, is Mount Semeru, Java's highest peak, at 3,676 meters. The caldera's interior is aptly called the Laut Pasir, or Sea of Sand, fine gray-brown volcanic sand in stark contrast to the green valley surrounding the caldera. Atop this sea of sand is a cluster of stone structures, which turns out to be the Hindu temple at the foot of the volcano. A van will take you through the sea of sand, but even if it does keep its promise to get you across the caldera, the path ahead may be too treacherous for its wheels. And this is where the hardy Tengerese pony comes in handy. Mount these sturdy horses and slowly make your way to Bromo. Breathe in the cold, bitter mountain air, and the experience can be slightly unsettling. Picture a desert and you can imagine the hot, piercing sun. But in this sandscape, hug your jackets closer to your bodies to protect yourselves from the chill. Sparse patches of green break the monotony of gray. Tall walls of stone mutely gaze down as you move closer to Bromo, creating swirls of ashen dust as ponies dutifully trot ahead. Dismount by the Puro Agong Poten Bromo, a temple in honor of the Hindu god Brahma. Built by the Tengerese, this is the pit stop before the ascent to Bromo. Unlike the bright orange temples typical of those scattered across Java, this temple is built with natural black stones spewed by the ancient volcanoes. Puro Agong is of great significance to the people who dwell in villages close to the caldera. Whereas most of Java professes to Islam, Tengerese beliefs date back to ancient Majapahit. They subscribe to the teachings of Mahayana Buddhism, Animism, and Hinduism. At the empire's decline, the Tengerese sought refuge in the mountains, driven by the primal need for survival. Their isolation kept their culture intact. One of their stories is the legend of Princess Roro Anteng, daughter of King Brawijaya, who married Joko Seger, of the Brahmin caste. As the Majapahit Empire fell, Roro Anteng and her husband fled to the mountains and ruled the region, calling it Purawi Besa Mangkurat Ing Tengger. Childless, they prayed to the gods. The gods granted their prayer on the condition that they were to sacrifice their last child to the mountain. No human sacrifice today, though. The dukun or high priest gives a special blessing for good luck. Take some flowers and offer them at the crater. But it is a penitence of sorts, especially for those who aren't ready to climb 240 or so steps up to Bromo's lip. But here, aching legs and shaking knees are forgotten. The crater is a deep gully of black granite, spewing the white smoke seen from afar. Here you may hurl bouquets and whispered prayers deep into the chasm. Then sit in silence and let it all sink in, the vastness of the great plain and how small and immaterial everything below seems. Continue your pursuit of East Java's charms down to Pachet, away from the mountain and deeper into the countryside. And here, you might have the pleasure of stumbling across a rural wedding. Bride and groom decked in bright traditional Javanese garb walk to a raised platform where they sit and view the festivities. Today, they are king and queen of this outdoor courtyard. The little village of Pachet is what lies ahead before the capital of 13th century Majapahit, Trowulan. Before you explore around the ruins and dusty temples, take a respite from the physical beating that comes with conquering Bromo's summit and indulge at Sativa Sangraloka Hotel, designed using Majapahit style and decor. Cottages of traditional Javanese design sit serenely amid herb gardens. The place feels more Javanese statuary than hedonistic modern hotel, and everywhere there is that quiet and gentle groove. In Pachet, notice trees heavy with a round, smooth, green fruit. The glorious kingdom that ruled Asia takes its name from this humble fruit. Raden Wijaya, the first king, built a village in the midst of a vast Tarik timberland. The village was named Majapahit, from the fruits that grew profusely. Maja, meaning fruit, and Pahit, for bitter. At daybreak, leave Sativa and see the birthplace of Majapahit might at Trowulan, a village in Mojokerto. Archaeologists believe this site was the royal capital described in great detail by the 14th century Javanese poem Nagara Kretagama. In the middle of an open field lies Ringinlawan Temple, although that may be a misnomer since the structure isn't really a temple. Everything old, bricked, stacked, and orange seems to qualify as a temple, but Ringinlawan is actually a majestic gate of the Chandi Bentar, or split gateway type. It takes its name from two bangyan or ringin trees that stood beside it. To where it led hasn't been discovered yet, but historians believe that it must have been a gate of an important compound, possibly the residence of Gahamada, a popular military figure. The trees are long gone now, but the wonder inspired by the structure remains. According to the Nagara Kretagama, the entire royal compound was enclosed by a thick wall of red brick. Walls have crumbled with age, and instead of palaces, a sprawl of fields lead to Bahang Ratu. Bahang Ratu in Javanese means dwarf monarch, a reference to Jayanegara, the second Majapahit king. Tradition tells that as a child, the king fell from the gate and this stunted his growth. A less dramatic explanation for the name would be that Jayanegara ascended the throne at a young age, hence the title Little Monarch. Today, echoing voices aren't that of kings, but of little tyrants cavorting about. School's out and students run around blissfully irreverent to the Dharma, or holy ground, dedicated to King Jayanegara upon his death in 1328. Candi Tikus, or Rat Temple, is a ritual bathing pool that was discovered during a rat infestation of the fields in 1914. The farmers dug deep and uncovered rats nesting in the crevices of this temple. A flight of steps descends into the northern side, leading to the pool. At the other side of the basin, a configuration of turrets is apparently patterned after Mount Semeru. The final stop is Candi Brahu, the sole surviving structure of what was once a cluster of buildings. Experts believe this monument was the royal mortuary shrine, as the vicinity of Candi Brahu was where cremation ceremonies of kings took place. Present-day Java sees no ghosts of dynasties past. Instead, there is the lively laughter of children, families, and lovers that come to Trowulan to understand their rich heritage, or maybe just to enjoy the day and bask in the warm afternoon sun. Crusted with age, these temples bear a story that time does not wither, that of a dynamic and vibrant culture, one that finds itself reincarnate in the modern city of Surabaya, but also finds its soul in things closest to nature, in the land that shapes its people, the music that feeds its spirit, one that in its past shares lessons with the future.